Hello, I'm really excited for us to do this portrait project together. I am sad that I'm not there in person because it's really nice to be able to help everyone with their drawings, but I have enclosed a video about the Mona Lisa, and I would like you to watch that and see why it's such an important piece of art. And it also will help you explain to you how an artist can, this is a printed picture obviously and it's black and white, how this nose is not made out of lines. It's not a line drawing. It is made out of shading, and it's that blending of light that creates shape. And that's what we're going to attempt to do on our project. So I've included lots of different materials about facial proportions. I find this is all about math. It's fascinating to figure out that within the oval shape of the face, the eyes are halfway in the head, which seems way too low when you're going to draw it. But what we don't consider is that the top fourth of the head is actually the hairline. So what we think of when you're going to draw a person, you think, oh, the eyes are up top right here. But when you consider the entire head, they're actually in the middle. So you have the hairline at the fourth mark, the eyes at the half mark, the bottom of the nose at the 3/4, and then the end is obviously the chin. But right in between the bottom of the nose and the chin is the bottom of the mouth. And then the eyebrows are in between the hairline and the eyes. So all of these things seem very funny on this egg shape, but then when you overlay actual detail, you start to better understand what they're talking about. And then another thing to take into consideration is the age of the face, and I feel that this is a really neat progression, and it shows a baby and how the eyes are much lower, and then as you can just use the eyes start to sort of fall into that final place here. So as fourth graders, you're in here. And so anyway, lots of different things for you to look at, some vocabulary words that you might not be aware of. We have the front view versus a profile view versus a 3/4 view. And the pictures that I've sent to you are typically either the front view or the 3/4 view. And the example I have of myself to use for this video is in between a front view and a 3/4 view. So this side of my face is obviously wider than this side of my face. So you can see more of my ear and you can't see my other ear at all. So that's a good way to tell. But have no fear, we are going to use your picture in this process. So you will only have to draw half of your face. So you're going to fold not the picture in half, you're going to fold your face in half. If I folded the picture in half, I wouldn't have my nose. So I'm going to fold my face in half. And for purposes of the video, I'm going to attempt to draw this smaller half, just so there's a little bit less wrangling. So the first step will be to glue this half down, so directly onto our sketchbook. And then I've given you 2 copies of your picture. Let's see, where's mine? Here it is. So then that way you can actually see what you're drawing. I think there's a couple of pieces of advice that I would like to give you before you get started. So after you glue this down, I'm going to suggest, one, that you make sure your pencil is nicely sharpened, that you have your eraser all ready to go, and start drawing all of the features together sort of at the same time. And I know that that is both impossible end possible. But what I mean by that is when you are trying to figure out the shape and the size of everything, try to do it all at once. So put the eyes and the nose and the mouth and the shape of the face simultaneously. So what that means is don't work really hard on the eye and perfect it and then realize that it's too close or too far away. So we're working on building this proportion at the same time. So then that way it builds appropriately. And to give myself, to make it much easier, I'm going to, now actually the easiest thing to do is actually I will cut this piece of paper instead of folding it. And then that way I have the exact piece or exact part of my face that I need to draw. So my nose is definitely not all the way. It's definitely not half, but it's better than if I had cut it in half. So here we go. So hopefully you can draw a little bit, cut a little bit straighter than I did. This is what I'm going to draw. And this helps, right? This makes it easier. I can even, after I glue this down, I can even mark through the paper, like where the edge of my face is. So then that way it helps me with my proportions. So I've glued my half of my face down, and I did use the pencil to mark through where my face ended, and I'm going to do the same for my nose and my eye. So then that way I have a good sense. Let's see if I can't. Having a hard time finding my indentations. Here we go. Okay, so now I have my indentations and I have a better sense of where everything's going to go. And so then you just jump on in. So I have my nose right here, help it with my indentations, and I have my face coming down and my cheeks, and then my chin, and sort of slides down to here. And my face goes in a little bit at my forehead, and so as you can see, I am drawing very, very lightly. I am working on getting all of my shapes. So we're working on getting all of the shapes and the proportions in place. And what you'll notice is you do yourself such a big favor. One of the neat tricks, if you're working on this and you just can't get it right, turn it upside down. Because if you're trying to draw this eye upside down, all of a sudden you can tell that my eyeball is not circular. In fact, I have sort of this line that goes straight right here. And then, so it's almost like a teardrop or a half moon size. And so this might be an easy way for you to practice, is make your eyeball draw on your picture, on that half that you're supposed to be drawing. If I draw on my picture, I can start to see how these shapes meld and blend for a drawing. So my nose and my mouth. So I want you guys, I wish maybe we should do this in pieces. I'm not sure quite how to tackle this, but I want you to see, I'll turn it right side up. But I do want you to check out your eyes and see how it's not, the pupil itself and the iris are round, but that round shape has been covered up by your eyelid. So only pieces of it are coming out. And then you have your eyelid, and that adds to your eyebrow, to your eye. And then you have your eyelashes below it. And then you have sort of the shadow under your eye to give it shape. Then we have the eyebrow, and it's actually pretty close to the eye. I always think of eyebrows being a little bit farther up, but it's not. It's very close to the eye. And the nose isn't so much a line as it is shading through here. And the mouth is very interesting in the fact that I have cheeks over here, and then my teeth don't come to the front of my mouth. I have these corners of my smile. So again, what I really want you guys, we're gonna do this in 2 pieces. So just this week, what I'd like you to do is we're gonna work on the shapes and the proportions of your eye and your eyebrows and your nose and your mouth and your face and where your hair is. And then next week, we're gonna work on shading. So today, it's all about trying to get the right shape and the right scale and the right proportion. So transferring over, I see that my eye that I had drawn in before, I'm now reading my pencil lines that I drew over this section. And I have, this is too wide. It needs to actually be narrow. So now I've made it, and this bottom line needs to be a little bit straighter. So now I've made it more narrow, and it's a more accurate representation of what's going on. So what will make you happiest with this project is if you draw what you see. Don't draw what you think you see or what you're used to seeing or how you think it should be. So I think the problem is, there we go, it's a little bit better. So I'm having a little bit of trouble getting my shapes where I want it to be. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna find my best friend. Here it is, my eraser. I just wasn't quite getting it right. So now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at what's my pencil line and how does that equate here and how does it not look correct and how can I make that better? And then look here, isn't my mouth, just so you guys see, isn't that funny? That's not at all what my mouth needs. So I need to fill in this detail. And then I'll add my hair and the headband and the neck. And then we'll call it a day, and then we'll go and I'll sketch out my shoulder. And next week we'll do the shading. All right, so I have to tell you that outlining your extra copy, the one that you cut off, helped me so much. I was able to see how everything relates, and that is part of our process here, is we're trying to put everything together in proportion. So please, please, please don't perfect your teeth, because if your teeth are too big or they're way over here, or don't work on your ear because then you realize you need to move it up or down from the picture, it will help tremendously. So there are many things that I want us to learn from this project, but a few of the really important ones are all about proportion and how our eyes are actually down, way down on your face. They're not way up here, they're actually way down here. And how far apart your eyes are. And the fact that drawing a nose with a line is actually really, really hard and doesn't make a very good line. So in addition to proportion, I then want us to work really hard on shading. So once you have your drawing in good shape, meaning when you look at it and you're like, that is the other half of that person's face, my face, then you can stop. And next week, we're going to picking up on taking this nose And I think I will ultimately probably erase these lines and instead shade the way it is on the photo. So again, hopefully you've watched this whole video all the way through. Words of advice: draw, doodle, whatever you want on the part that's cut off, but leave your picture unadulterated over here, so then that way you can have a better sense of how to shade for next week. And if you need an extra copy, please let me know, and I'm happy to provide you with one. But this took, last year when we did this project, this took many, many weeks. So we will not be spending many, many weeks on it, but I do want us to spend 2 really solid efforts attempting to get our proportions in place and our facial features in place in the right proportions. So good luck. This is a very challenging project, and I appreciate that you guys are using patience, and I hope that this video is helpful. See you soon. Bye.